Hi guys, welcome to the Peabody Award-winning The People's Duchess. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. This is a pretty special one, hard on pretty. And it's actually the sister video to Soft Power. I will be expounding on the soft power theme, but applying it to the Hollywood power scene. So fun times ahead. I will be diving into the scene itself. You know me, I'm gonna break something down. I'm gonna do the data and run the numbers and break down what makes Hollywood, Hollywood, and the A-list, the A-list. Let's take a trip back to my stomping grounds. I grew up in the Peavine Canyon area. I am deeply familiar with Hollywood. I had family in Artesia, Gardenia, the Valley, Cerritos, Los Alamitos, Huntington Beach, all up and through the Hollywood Hills. Pretty much every weekend, all weekend, Clueless style. I love LA. I'm also like naturally a history buff. I love a random fact. I love an interesting fact. History and theology are two of my favorite subjects. You know what it is with any ideology, the psychology of a group of people, the pathology, what makes them tick. Studying the Bible from a historical and analytical perspective versus from a religious perspective is very interesting. I definitely recommend it. And fun fact about the Bible, it is copyright owned by the British royal family. I kid you not. Yeah, gonna leave that one right there. So yeah, today we're gonna be talking about the quiet A-list. I really love getting into the bones of Meghan's time pre-royal, go through it like an anthropologist would and dissect it and learn the different details. It's very interesting to me. I am an interesting facts champ. I love trivia. I'm just saying, had that been me, I would have definitely guessed Archie's name on Jeopardy. Did you guys see that episode? None of the contestants got that final answer, and it was wild because he's been in the news for years. I really love fact-based, knowledge-based trivia shows because it really doesn't take a high IQ to win a game like Jeopardy. Then again, I guess if you know all those little tidbits, your IQ would be high. I'm just saying it doesn't necessarily take like a prodigy or a genius. You can literally just have a lot of factual little tidbit based knowledge and strategize well and then win. I don't know. But I would have gotten that right. I would have definitely known it was Archie. And not because I study the royal family, but because he's been everywhere in the news. Hello, where have you guys been living? So, today's show is a deep dive into the anthropology of the A-list, breaking that down into easily communicable visual presentations. I love data. I cannot get enough of it. I really like following Meghan's career in terms of the numbers. It's all very impressive when you add it up. Pun intended. I'm going to switch things up a little bit for this video. I know you are an intelligent bunch. I can see from the comments and the feedback that you get it. But every now and then, I like to just slow things down a bit, and I think this is a great day to take a chill pill. There are a lot of pieces to connect in this video. It's basically the 7 degrees of separation game, but I have made cliff notes for you. So every connection is whittled down to only 2 degrees of separation. It'll be Meghan and a maximum of 2 people in the separation. I'm going to do this as simply and plainly as possible so as not to confuse or conflate anything. So if you have a LinkedIn, you will understand this perfectly. If not, I'll explain it to you. This is a LinkedIn page for reference, and here you can see the degrees of separation between yourself and others. A first degree connection is someone you're directly working or acquainted with personally. You've met them in real life, you know them, and then you connected on LinkedIn. A second degree connection is someone that you know through your first degree connection. So this is going to be your friend of a friend, your relative of a friend, your in-law of a friend, etc. And then anything after a third degree connection are people in your network, like supporting cast and crew members or background members. I will start with defining the list and its criteria. We will move on to popular characteristics, and then we'll fill the list itself out before playing my favorite game, 2 Degrees of Kevin Bacon and Hollywood Separation. So to understand the Hollywood A-list, we have to first dive into its characteristics. The A-list is defined as the top billed artists and industry executives in the production of entertainment around the world. This list is typically characterized by exposure, influence, resources, and social capital. Within this list are individuals such as actors, singers, bands, directors, producers, high-end real estate developers and sellers, political influencers such as popular senators or the president, athletes, club owners, and promoters who otherwise have or contribute to the massive success of Hollywood or any entertainment industry, like Bollywood or even Nollywood. As you all know, after A-list, the list descends in order to B, C, D, and then for some weird reason, just jumps straight to Z-list after D. I personally don't like to refer to any celebrity as B-list, C-list, D-list, or whatever, because at the end of the day, these are people, and I know from personal experience, this is akin to being the best in your high school, the brightest in your class, only to arrive at Harvard and then be mocked for not being the best at Harvard. Everyone's not going to be the best, but they're still on the list to begin with, and it's commendable to put yourself out there like that as an entertainer and artist and express your art. And even if 1,000 people or 5,000 people come and see your art and like it, that's completely mind-blowing. I can imagine that type of audience in person. So no, I don't and won't be taking away anyone's accomplishments or denigrating their work as if I have lived a better life than that. So for the purposes of this video, everyone is A-list. And the list above that, the secret menu item list. Now that you guys are familiar with the Hollywood A-list, what defines it, and what its characteristics are, I'm gonna test your knowledge in a fun little game I like to call 2 Degrees of Separation. In this game, we'll break down the Hollywood elite, how they got there, and then you have to guess which degree of separation they are from the Duchess of Sussex. And remember, this is all pre-royal. But that's not to say that she didn't have plenty of royal connections before marrying into that family. Starting off with the most royal of them all, the mother of dragons. I am going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you in 2 degrees or less. See if you can follow along and guess correctly. All right. First up, a familiar face. This is Priyanka Chopra Jonas, literal goddess, actor, Bollywood star, philanthropist, and all-around classy dame. Her mom entered her in the Femina Miss India contest, where she won the Miss India World title. She was crowned Miss World 2000 and Miss World Continental Queen of Beauty Asia and Oceania at the Millennium Dome in London. She's had a phenomenal career in Bollywood and in Hollywood and is currently starring in Love Again and the upcoming movie Heads of State alongside Idris Elba, John Cena, Jack Quaid, and Claire Foster. Star-studded movie that will be released sometime in 2024 from what I understand. Priyanka is a first-degree connection to Meghan. They met in 2016 at a Women in Television dinner, and the rest is history. They have a ton of in-network friends, as one does in Hollywood. As you all know, Priyanka is married to Nick Jonas, and they have an adorable little baby girl now. And if that weren't cool enough, Meghan is also connected via Priyanka to another famous second-degree connection, Sansa Stark herself, Sophie Turner, who is Meghan's second-degree connection by being the in-law of her close friend. So, via the true Queen of the North, Meghan is connected to the Game of Thrones franchise, which is one of the most successful and popular in Hollywood for over a decade now. This is solidly an A-list bundle here. So if you guessed that Meghan was connected to the Mother of Dragons via Priyanka Chopra Jonas, congratulations, you got that one right. Give yourself 1,000,000 points. It gets a little bit harder, so let's continue here. How is Meghan connected to the other biggest franchise in Hollywood history, the Black Panther and Marvel MCU? This is Michael B. Jordan. all around good guy. Very popular in Hollywood circles. He's been around since The Wire and been in several critically acclaimed movies, including Creed and, you guessed it, highest grossing Marvel MCU film to date, Black Panther. Meghan and Michael were teammates in the DirecTV Beach Bowl back in 2014 in New York City, and as work acquaintances, this puts Meghan squarely in the midst of Michael's vast extended network, which include the amazing Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, Chadwick, we love you. And of course, the incomparable Lupita Nyong'o and living legend Angela Fine Wine Bassett. Meghan is connected to the A-list of the A-list, the Marvel franchise, via Michael B. Jordan, her first degree work colleague. So if you got that one, you're doing good. You're going strong. You've just earned another 1,000,000 points. And speaking of that DirecTV Beach Bowl, she also teamed up with her first degree connection bestie, Serena Williams, for the event. Serena doesn't need any introduction. She's the GOAT. She's tennis royalty. She's literally everything. And her husband's pretty cool too. He's a great second degree connection. And speaking of really cool second degree connections, this brings us to the creme de la creme of second degree connections. Now remember, this is all pre-royal family, so Meghan has been connected to Serena for a very long time, and via this connection, she has been secondarily connected by 1 degree to none other than Beyonce. Now, it's rumored that Meghan only met Beyonce for the first time back in 2019 during the Lion King premiere in London, and if that's the case, I'm really surprised because she even met Kelly back in 2014, and she's known Serena since 2010. But okay, so they just recently got acquainted. However, once they started scratching the surface, they would have discovered handfuls of first degree connections and all the same people in their networks. This is God tier A-list. You don't get any better than Queen Bee. I cannot. She is so mother. If you made the connection between Meghan and Beyonce in 2 degrees via Serena Williams, give yourself 10,000,000 points. You are really on a roll here. This third connection might be a bit of an easy one for you guys, as I have already mentioned it in the previous video, but it's worth playing in this round too. Because as you may have noticed, we are keeping with the theme of Meghan's connections, not just to Hollywood royalty or famous people, but the biggest franchises in the world. So far, we've done Game of Thrones, then we've covered the Marvel universe, then Beyonce's universe, and now we are on to another extremely popular franchise, the NFL. So how is Meghan connected to the NFL? As an actor on Suits, Meghan made several NFL event appearances to promote the show on the NFL Network, and even starred in a Miller Lite commercial back in 2010 that aired in between games. So this doesn't really need any degrees of separation because Meghan had been contracted directly with the NFL for work, but it's nice that she had some major league friends in Brian Urlacher, who she went on a 5-country USO tour with back in 2014, and Mark Herzlich, who she's pictured with here doing some promo for Suits and the NFL. So this places Meghan solidly in the sports elite A-list arena, unless there's an intelligent argument somewhere out there that working in such a visible position for the NFL isn't a big deal at all. If you did get this connection between Meghan and the NFL, give yourself 3,000,000 points. It was actually kind of a trick question because there aren't any degrees separating her. She worked literally directly for the NFL. Let me know how many points you have so far in the comments down below and how you think you're doing in the game. Okay, so we have a bonus round. This is a very difficult round. So if you get this right, this is for all the mushrooms in the valley. Meghan has a second degree connection to Oscar award-winning acclaimed artist Michelle Williams, who just narrated the Britney Spears memoir, and it's already being rumored that she is totally gonna win an Oscar for it. Meghan and Michelle have a shared mutual first degree connection. For all the mushrooms in the valley, who is it? All right, so this one was really tricky, and if you got it, then you deserve to be sky high right now. Michelle Williams was on a very popular television show back in the late 90s, early aughts called Dawson's Creek. Dawson's Creek was an amazing show, very cult classic, legendary show that featured an all-star cast. Meghan has a first degree connection with Joshua Jackson, better known as Pacey, whom I love with all my heart and soul. I had such a big crush on Pacey. It was ridiculous. The man's always had taste, and I already knew. So if you guessed correctly, then way to go. You are an expert, but that was only part one. Part two of this bonus round, name the show in which Meghan and Pacey worked on together. If you guessed this show was Fringe, then you would be absolutely correct and give yourself another 10 million points because this is an obscure one, guys. Back in the day, Fringe had it going on. It had 5 seasons. This is a show you can totally binge. It's so good. Now, Joshua Jackson, being Meghan's first degree work connection, is also connected to that extended cast of Dawson's Creek. They are still really good friends. They're such talented actors. Katie Holmes, James Vanderbeek, Michelle Williams, Joshua Jackson, Kerr Smith, Busy Phillips, just an all-star lineup of immense talent. Once you get into the rooms, you're mingling with literally every genre of A-list. Meghan's definitely been to all kinds of events and parties and functions through her job and through meeting people like Pacey, who know people like Michelle Williams, and people like her then partner, the brilliant Heath Ledger, rest in peace, all the way to Spider-Man. I mean, come on. We talked about soft power. Anyone who spends 2 minutes talking to Meghan would also feel like her resume is quite dizzying, right? She'd have that effect on everyone because that is a very impressive resume. But also, the second degree and third degree connections that she has via her resume, oh my goodness, that is gold. Matter of fact, that's platinum. And if you guessed that she had all of these connections in Pacey, then give yourself 100 million points and you have won the game. I loved playing this game. Whenever I would be at my cousin's or friend's house, I'm an only child, so I would always be somewhere and we'd all play this game and it was so much fun. I would say Beyonce Knowles, and then she would name a celebrity whose first name starts with the first letter of the last name of the celebrity that I just said. So from Beyonce Knowles, she would then say something like Kirsten Dunst. And then from Kirsten Dunst, I would then say something like Dan Aykroyd or Denzel Washington. And then from Washington, she would get Will Smith. And then from Smith, I'd get like Sigourney Weaver, and on and on and on and on until we named all the celebrities. We'd have such a ball playing this game because sometimes we'd make up names. So I would run out of a name and the last name would have started with like an I, and then I'd say like Ingrid, the model. So she'd be like, well, who's Ingrid? You have to use their full name. So we could use supermodels if we knew their full names, as we did. And it was really exciting because there was always a new model, a new it girl every single day. So we kept up with that stuff. We read the teen Vogues. And in Hollywood, you have friends who are always trying to make it. So whether it's in writing or in front of the camera or producing or directing, you always knew someone in the industry. It was a time. You just had to be there. If you liked 2 degrees of separation or this Hollywood name game, feel free to use it. It's so much fun. And tucked inside the layers of fun is also a bit of education. I know this game comes off as just a fun Hollywood name game, but actually sandwiched in between that are world events, current events, people in power, money moves, money makers and shakers, industry disruptors, a wealth of information that really does come in handy from time to time. It's really important to pay attention to your surroundings, and it could be very useful to you one day, like we just saw in Jeopardy, where it would have been super useful to know who Archie is. It's important to keep your eyes and ears open to the pulse of the things going on around you. And I'm primarily involved with their philanthropy. I really love their initiatives. Most actors are part of or organize some kind of foundation that gives back to the community. So it's really important for us. It's our culture out there. We know all the actors, but more importantly, we know their charitable causes, philanthropic efforts, and we support them. And it may seem like we're just keeping up with the Kardashians over here, but we're not. It's really important to know who the actors are, especially because this is your environment and these are your surroundings. It's obscure, but very important to know things like Melissa Gilbert is no longer the president of SAG-AFTRA. It's Fran Drescher now. And sure, it's Hollywood, LA information, but it's important. You hear about the strike, and Fran Drescher is involved in every unit of that conversation. So it's important. These jobs are important. These are people's lives, and although they provide entertainment, I'll give you this entertainment, you still allow me to live my life. We don't look at celebrities the same way, and talking about Meghan, I'm looking at her just like an LA girl and like I would talk to any other person. So we'd play these Hollywood games and it was really fun, and I just thought maybe I'd switch it up and put it into a little name game for you guys. Oh, and fun fact, you guys are all now certified Hollywood experts. So you get press pool privilege. You can even act like you know some of these people personally. Well, don't do that. Don't ever do that. Take pride in yourself. Take pride in how far you've come from just 20 minutes ago when you first started this video. If you want to sell me an alternative version of this, then show me the Carfax. You may not have seen Suits and you may not have been a fan of her work on the TIG, but those are all things that have established her as a quiet power player in Hollywood. You saw her at front row in Hervé Léger, you saw her front row at Marquesa, you saw her front row at Miu Miu, you saw her jetting here and there and here and there. And I think the most important part of me bringing any of this up is the fact that all of the things that she did caused a ripple effect to where she was then put in the A-list company of Violet von Westenholz, who happens to be a good friend of the, at the time, fourth in line to the British throne. Meghan and Violet met through Ralph Lauren connections, as Violet is a senior executive at RL. This is a friendship of peers. I just love the body language in this picture. I'm not sure how much more A-list you guys expect a person to be. She didn't go through a friend of a friend of a friend. Her friend, who is also his friend, set the whole thing in motion. So before anyone labels another person B-list, C-list, D-list, Z-list, whatever, I get the humor in that. But now that you guys are certified Hollywood experts, you can understand how this list is not only characterized by the amount of exposure that one has. James Van Der Beek, for example, who some people are tempted to say is any other thing than A-list, he still has the influence, he still has resources, he still has social capital. He has like 40 children, so that's definitely a man who has social capital and has resources to take care of a large family. You might not see the exposure anymore, but he's working just as hard behind the scenes. He's working just as hard on projects. He is still contributing significantly to the business enterprise of Hollywood. His show is still contributing significantly to the zeitgeist. So they're still paying him for that. The list is defined and these are the statutes, and I don't know, sometimes people get it twisted. So use this as a template. It's just the tip of the iceberg that we are privy to. There's so much more underneath the surface that we never actually see. That is my quiet A-list roundup. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this, and thank you so much for watching, guys. Please like, subscribe, and share. Remember to be kind and have a wonderful week ahead. Bye.